Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at something, well, something pretty much all of us do every day, maybe without even thinking much about it.
Our online selves.
Exactly. You know, that collection of pictures, thoughts, those perfectly picked moments we put out there.
Mhm.
Have you ever, stopped and thought, does that online me feel separate, almost like another
Yeah.
person living a parallel life?
Oh, absolutely. It's a really fascinating question, isn't it? And it really gets to the core of how we live now. We're building these digital faces all the time.
Yeah.
Think about someone like Sarah. You mentioned her, the wellness influencer. Online, she's all calm, healthy living. You know, the amazing smoothie bowls, the perfect yoga poses by the beach.
Right, the picture of total calm and control, but behind the scenes.
Well, what she actually shared was this constant feeling of anxiety, a real fear that the image would crack, you know?
Like she was trapped by it.
Exactly. Trapped by the very thing she created. Feeling like she had to keep up this perfect front to even feel like herself, but at the same time, wondering if any of it was actually real.
That disconnect.
Yeah.
The gap between the shiny online version and the messy reality inside seems like that's everywhere now.
It really does. And, you know, this idea isn't completely new. Freud, he talked about the persona, didn't he?
The social mask, yeah.
Right. The different faces we show in different situations. And it's necessary for society to function. We need those masks. But the danger, he pointed out, is when you start identifying too much with the mask.
You lose touch with who you are underneath.
Precisely. You feel alienated from your own self.
And the internet just explodes this, doesn't it? It's not just one mask for work or parties anymore. It's like, okay, here's my Instagram self, my LinkedIn self, my TikTok, even my dating app self.
Each one slightly different.
Yeah. And often, way more idealized. It's this nonstop pressure to be the best version across all these digital stages.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how much emotional energy we pour into these online versions. You post something new, and there's that little, maybe subconscious anxiety, checking for likes, reading comments.
Oh yeah, definitely felt that.
It seems small, maybe trivial on the surface, but it digs right into those really basic human needs, doesn't it? Wanting validation, wanting acceptance.
So Freud would have something to say about that.
Oh, for sure. His ideas about narcissism, about the ego, they help explain why we crave being seen and approved of. But this online validation, it's so fleeting. It's not like earning respect over time in the real world. It can make our self-worth feel really fragile, actually. Maybe even make insecurities worse.
It's such a weird situation, isn't it? Everyone's trying so hard to be authentic online. But it often just looks like another performance. You know, the influencers whose whole thing is keeping it real, but every candid shot is perfectly lit and filtered. Even the supposedly messy moments look styled.
Exactly. It's staged authenticity.
Yeah.
Freud might look at that and see the unconscious mind trying to juggle two conflicting things.
Right.
Our real desire for genuine connection, warts and all.
Right.
And this powerful, powerful need to be liked, to fit in.
And the need to be liked often wins out.
It often seems to, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough balance, and that pressure, that voice inside telling you what society expects, what Freud called the superego, that gets projected onto the online persona. We build this idealized, successful, got-it-all-together version to meet those demands.
God, the effort involved. Keeping track of the work you, the friend you, and then all these different online you. It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It really is.
It makes you wonder, which one is the real me? Or are we just a collection of performances now?
And look at the language we use. We talk about our online presence like it's a business.
Yeah, personal brand, audience, engagement.
Exactly. Marketing terms. Freud might say that shows how much the superego is running the fair,
Yeah.
always pushing us to achieve, optimize, basically sell ourselves.
Sell ourselves. That's a bit bleak. But maybe there's another angle too. Could all this focus on branding? Maybe it's not just about showing off. Could it be like a weird modern way of trying to figure ourselves out?
That's a really interesting thought, like projecting different parts of ourselves out there to see what sticks.
Yeah, trying to build an identity by seeing how people react online.
I think there's something to that. I mean, identity has always been fluid, shaped by, our inner conflicts and how we interact with the world. Social media just puts that whole process on steroids, doesn't it?
Totally.
It forces us to constantly ask, who do I want people to think I am? It's like this massive, ongoing public experiment in self-creation.
And thinking about it from Freud's view, seeing our online stuff as clues to our hidden desires, our fears. Like Sarah again with her authentic living posts.
Right.
Maybe those posts were actually her way of dealing with her own anxiety about not feeling authentic.
It's very possible. A kind of projection, maybe. And when we build these online personas, we're essentially doing what Freud called repression, aren't we?
How so?
Well, we carefully select the good bits, the parts we like, and we push down or repress the bits we think are unattractive or unacceptable. We hide the messy stuff. And now we're doing that filtering process out in the open, online.
Which leads straight into comparison culture, right? You scroll, see everyone else's highlight reel.
And feel like you're falling short. Exactly. That's the id, that basic demanding part, wanting immediate gratification, wanting to be the best.
Clashing with the superego.
Clashing with the superego, that inner critic whispering, you're not good enough, based on those idealized images you're seeing. It's a perfect recipe for envy and feeling inadequate.
And we keep chasing the validation anyway.
Driven by what Freud called libido, not just sexual energy, but that fundamental life force, that desire. Online, it becomes this hunger for attention, for approval.
Likes, comments, shares.
Yeah, each one is like a little dopamine hit. It feels good for a second, reinforces the behavior, but the underlying craving, it never really goes away. It's insatiable.
What about when people share struggles online? You know, the relatable content about anxiety or bad days. How does that fit?
That's interesting too. Freud might see it as sublimation. You take uncomfortable feelings, anxiety, sadness, whatever, and channel them into something socially acceptable, even something people admire or pay for.
So turning pain into content.
In a way, yes. But the potential catch is, does it stop you from really dealing with those feelings privately? Is it a substitute for deeper work?
Possibly. It feels like all of Freud's defense mechanisms are just running rampant online.
You really can see them everywhere. We talked about projection and repression, but also rationalization. Oh, I need to be on LinkedIn for my career.
Guilty.
Or denial about how much time we're spending or how it's affecting our mood. And identification to consciously or unconsciously copying people we admire online, hoping some of their magic rubs off.
It feels like. Sometimes that need for online approval, it just takes over everything. The superego totally bosses around the ego, the part that's supposed to balance things out.
Right. The ego's job is to mediate between the id's desires, the superego's rules, and external reality. But if it gets hijacked by the superego's demand for external validation,
Then the real you gets sidelined.
exactly. You become so focused on crafting the perfect image that genuine self-expression just gets lost. You end up feeling fragmented, split between the online show and whoever you are offline.
Like that example you mentioned, Jake the accountant.
Ah, yes, Jake the visionary online. Inspirational quotes, aspirational posts. Completely different from his day-to-day reality. Freud might call that ego splitting. There's this huge gap, this tension between the two identities. It might feel good initially, like an escape, but eventually it's likely exhausting and alienating.
What's kind of wild is how normal this all seems now. Nobody bats an eye at someone spending hours perfecting one Instagram post.
It's true. It's almost like a collective repression. As a society, maybe we're choosing not to look too closely at the insecurities and the deep need for validation that fuels so much of this personal branding obsession.
We just accept it as the way things are.
Pretty much. Even aggression plays out differently online, doesn't it? It's often subtle.
Like passive-aggressive comments. Or those posts that are clearly meant to make someone else feel bad.
Exactly. Carefully curated comparisons. It's a way to defend our own ego by subtly putting others down, or sometimes a way to assert dominance in that online space.
And the biggest irony, social media was supposed to connect us all.
But it often makes people feel more lonely. There's this tension. We desperately want real intimacy, but we're also terrified of being truly vulnerable, especially in such a public forum.
So we keep the mask on. Which brings up that slightly creepy idea you mentioned earlier.
The idea that the mask might start wearing us.
Yeah. Like with Sarah, the wellness influencer. Her online persona starts dictating her real-life choices. The superego, that inner critic demanding performance, just drowns out anything authentic.
It can even change how we experience things offline, can't it?
How do you mean?
Well, are you truly in the moment enjoying the sunset? Or are you already thinking about the best angle for the photo, the perfect caption?
Oof. Yeah. Framing life for potential content.
It creates a kind of distance, an alienation from our own genuine feelings and experiences.
And we're told personal branding is empowering.
Yeah.
Right? Take control of your narrative.
But then you feel controlled by it, by the algorithms, the need for likes, the metrics. It's like swapping one kind of pressure for another, possibly more subtle one.
It reminds me of that Freudian idea, the uncanny.
Ah, yes. Das Unheimlich. Familiar yet strange.
Exactly. Social media feels familiar, it's a part of our lives, but it's also off. These perfect, slightly unreal versions of people and life. It's comforting in a way, but also deeply unsettling because you sense the artificiality.
And think about those relationships we form with online figures we don't actually know, parasocial relationships.
Right, feeling like you're friends with a YouTuber or influencer.
Freud might see that as fulfilling that deep need for connection, for attachment, but without the messiness and risk of real two-way intimacy. It's safe, but one-sided.
Even how we think about, like, our legacy is changing. It's not just what you build or achieve in the real world anymore.
Now it's also about your digital footprint, isn't it? Clicks, shares, followers. These metrics become a weird modern measure of worth, maybe driven by a feel of just disappearing into the noise of the internet.
And the really final, maybe scariest step
Yeah.
is when the online persona bleeds back and changes who you are offline.
When you start actually becoming the mask, aligning your real choices, what you eat, wear, say, to fit the image you've created online.
Like identification gone wild.
Exactly. The desired self starts to overwrite the actual self.
Wow. Okay, it definitely makes you think about your own online habits, your own digital self. That final question really hits home. Are you the one curating your online life?
Or is your online life starting to curate you?
It's this constant push and pull, isn't it, between the masks we make and who we really are. And as we've kind of explored those masks, they can definitely take on a life of their own.
Indeed. The unconscious finds ways to express itself and the digital world. Well, it's given it a vast and very interesting new playground.
Well, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.